Today is May 13th, 2024. We've all been hearing about the student protests on campuses, students protesting against a war in the Middle East. When I was a student back in 1968, of course, we were protesting against a war in Vietnam. We've been hearing about students at Columbia University taking over a building. And back in 1968, students at Columbia took over several buildings. There are a number of parallels between today and 1968, and of course, many, many differences. In my new novel, The Education of Crazy Jane, I write about the protests against the war in Vietnam. And I write about the Black Lock-In that took place in April of 1968. This was a protest by Black students. It happened just about a week after we heard the tragic news that Dr. Martin Luther King had been assassinated. The students went into the administration building on my campus and took over the building and locked themselves in by chaining up all the doors. They were demanding more Black faculty and a scholarship fund so more Black students could attend the university. Our university president, a man named Dr. Robin Fleming, went into the building. They unchained one of the doors and let him in, and he negotiated. When he came out, he said all of their demands were perfectly reasonable, and he was going to work hard to meet all of their demands, and that was the end of that protest. It ended very quickly. In my novel, I have Sam, my main character, my point of view character, discussing this episode with his girlfriend Jane, aka Crazy Jane, and with his housemates. There's Matt, who's funny and sarcastic and highly amused by the foolishness of human history, and there was Trotsky, nicknamed because of his obvious sympathies for communism. Here's a bit of their dialogue. "I guess that's good," said Sam, accepting his slice of mushroom pizza from Trotsky. Sam had been mulling this over all day. "I agree with their goals for sure, but I don't like their tactics. Why didn't they ask for a meeting? Why did they have to take over a university building with chains and make demands?" Matt was sitting with his feet up on a footrest. He feigned a surprised look, abruptly sitting forward and planting his feet on the floor. "You don't like people making demands? Wow, that's a shock." He sat back in his chair. "Sam, you can't ask for a slice of mushroom pizza. It's a good thing you're not a leader of the Black students. How would they ever get equal rights on campus?" Sam shrugged, offered a smile. Trotsky passed around a tossed salad he made. Everyone pushed aside the anchovies he put on the salad. It hadn't yet occurred to him that he was the only one who liked them. The weather was warm enough to have the windows open, and they could hear the birds philosophizing at dusk about the natural cycle of light and dark. An argument erupted, a sharp chirping over territory, but it quickly settled into a communal lullaby. "Listen, Sam," Trotsky said, "you're a good guy, and you always try to see the good in others, including Fleming, but sometimes you're a tad naive. Black people in this country have been dealing with the Flemings of the world for over 300 years, and nothing else works." "But Fleming sounds like a decent guy," said Sam. "You heard his statement." "Sure," said Trotsky, "but do you really think he would have agreed to meet with them without the takeover tactics? And if he had agreed to meet, what should they say? 'Please, please, can we have a little equality now? Maybe just a little?' No, they had to use stronger tactics. They're fighting for a noble cause, and sometimes the end justifies the means." Sam was not having it. "So what happens when a right-wing hate group takes over a building and demands that we have fewer Blacks on campus? Should Fleming give in to them?" Trotsky scoffed. "That's too far-fetched." Sam searched for a better argument. "Well, say a Christian group takes over a building and demands that certain books be banned from the university because they're too sexy or too radical or too liberal. Christianity is a noble cause, right?" Trotsky shook his head. "Apples and oranges." Sam was annoyed, and he made no effort to hide it. "That's always your answer when you don't really have an answer. Apples and oranges, apples and oranges. You never want to see anyone else's point of view." A thought crossed his mind. Nobody wants to see anyone else's point of view these days. And so they continue to debate and discuss, as we have to continue to debate and discuss, and maybe even see one another's point of view. The Education of Crazy Jane, coming out later this fall, 2024. Thank you so much for listening.